Cerritos, welcome to She Achieved podcast. I am so excited to be talking to you today. I am excited to tell your story because you are a lady that has her hands in a lot of things. And it's so exciting to have such an empowered, inspiring lady who is doing it all to share a little bit about herself with our listeners. So hopefully they are too inspired to chase their dreams and do it all just like you. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Before we talk about everything that you're doing now, let's give our listeners a little bit of background about yourself.
I am from Shannon, Mississippi. I'm a country girl. Love the country. Graduated from Shannon High School. Began my college career at ICC. Graduated from there. Went to Ole Miss. Got my bachelor's in secondary education. Then got my master's in teaching English as a second language and my specialist in administration. During that time, I got married. I have two kids, Santavious and Kortlyn, and my husband is Marco Johnson. So, um, kids are out of school, and the husband and I are empty nesting and enjoying it.
First of all, you don't look old enough to be empty nesting.
Yes, we're excited
You
about
are
it.
beautiful and you look so young. And I know it is exciting.
Yes,
I
it's
could
so
see where it
excited.
is.
I get people ask me all the time, "Are you not sad?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't had a chance to be sad yet. Like, we're getting to enjoy each other. Like,
Yeah.
I've raised kids half my life. I had my son in high school, so literally half my life I've been raising kids. So now it's time for me and the hubby.
Now it's time for y'all to focus on what you want to do, right?
Yes,
Probably
yes,
explains a lot of why you are doing so many things.
yes, yes.
Okay, well, you are still in education. So, and that is what you went to school for. How long have you been in education?
I'm going in my 21st year in education. So that's how I got to Tupelo. I started um, subbing in Tupelo Public School District, I'm going to say probably about 24 years ago, and was offered a job while I was subbing. At that time, I didn't even have my license in that area. And the administrator noticed my work ethic and came to me and said, "Hey, I'm going to have this job open. If you get licensed in this area, it's yours." And that's how I got into the district and been there ever since.
That's awesome. What all have you done at the district?
Okay, so I started in special education, which my background was secondary ed English. So I started in special education. I taught self contained. I left there and I started teaching English. And then I taught special ed English, and now I'm in career technical. I'm a student service coordinator for the Career-Technical Center. I've been doing that for 13, 14 years.
That's amazing. Wow. And it's funny because that's how our paths initially have crossed is through your work through the Career and Technical Center.
Yes.
But you're not just in education, you are also a business owner, an entrepreneur. You're super creative. I feel like I see you everywhere, doing lots of different things and really just shining. Like it just oozes out of you. And then additionally, you're a real estate agent. So people tell me all the time they don't know how, I find time to sleep, and I
Right.
feel like you've got me beat.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Like how did you get into some of your side things that you're doing in addition to your career at school?
Well, ever since I was 16 years old, I've always held a second job. So I've always had that in me. And as I got older, I began to look into business aspects. Like, what do you like to do? It started to be about what I wanted to do. And when I met my husband, he was already an entrepreneur and he already had businesses. So we kind of connected on that level. And what we learned from each other is whether we agree with it or not, we supported each other. So some of my visions he didn't see, and some of his I didn't see. So the first business together was we are Jam Pro owners. And so my husband talked about that business a couple years. And I'm like, I don't really know about that. I don't think that's a good idea. And finally I bit the bullet and I said, let's do it. And I thank God today that I did that. Like literally it has been awesome. His background is in truck driving, so he already had like history of owning a business, and we owned a trucking company, and he ran that, and he dispatched, and so um, we did that. We did the Jam Pro, and then I thought about the Timeless. So I was just out one day and ran across a place like Timeless. And I get home and I'm all excited and I'm telling my husband about it. And he's like, I don't know about that. So it just weighed on me. Like it stayed on me. And so I went back to him again and he wasn't convinced. So I went to my coworker at work and I was telling her about it. She's like, that's an awesome idea. I was like, I think so too. And she's like, let's do it. So I called my husband up and I'm like, hey, Kim and I are about to do this. And he was like, okay, go for it. And so we did. And Timeless Treasures has been great. And so he even today will say, I'm so glad you went ahead and did that. And so I got into the real estate, totally different mindset. Years ago, I taught um, actually my mentor's daughters. And she would always tell me, you need to be in real estate. You need to be in real estate. Well, every time I went to get in real estate, I would ask other people, and they'd be like, oh, it's not a good time. Don't do it. Right now is not the time. And she would say, Cerritos, you need to get in. Stop listening to people. Well, a few years ago, my mind went, what am I going to do in 25 years when I retire? Because I know I'm leaving in 25 years. And I listened to so many other teachers that can't because they can't afford to. And I'm like, that's not going to be me. So I'm like, okay, I can begin real estate. And then hopefully by the time I retire, I know in 25 years I'm going to retire. And I wanted to go ahead and start that second career. Um, so many other teachers can't retire in 25 years because of finances. And I just did not want to be in that position. So my mind went like, let me get started early. And so I started the road to real estate. And my thought process in starting that is hopefully it will be where I need it to be by the time I retire, which would have been 8 years from when I started. Now it's 5. I've been in real estate now for 3 years and it has went amazing. Way I never would imagine I would be where I am today so soon. And I don't say that arrogantly. I am so thankful. Like, I'm amazed. Like, God amazes me. I thank Him every day.
Do you ever have regrets about not doing it sooner because you were listening to so many other individuals allowing you to influence your decision?
I don't. I think my time, it happened when it was supposed to happen. And I'm going to tell you why. I struggled. I had to take the test 3 times. I could have easily given up. It took me a year and a half to pass it. And I kept going. And I thank God I kept going. And I believe I got in when I was supposed to get in.
I love that. I love that perseverance too. Um, with anything in life, right? Those that are really good at it make it look so easy, but it's not easy. Whatever it is, whether it's in school or certification, whatever we're pursuing, or trying something new, opening a business.
Right.
Everything takes time and effort. I'm a true believer in the right timing too. I think you already have a path, and then God opens doors when you're ready. And
Right.
sometimes you're not ready. You may want to do something, but you're not ready, and then it's not the right season because whether you have kids or something else is going on in your life, or in your case, you're trying to finish out and finish your first career and have an encore career. You're trying to do it smart.
Right.
So many people get so anxious and leave everything behind when financially they're not stable or they're not ready. And that's such a huge piece of it too. You can't just leave behind what you already worked so hard for. And sometimes you have to be patient
Yes.
in that time.
Yes.
And you're doing all the right things, all the right steps.
I had A few people tell me when I began real estate, you're going to make so much money, you're going to leave teaching. And my words were, I'm not leaving teaching because I'm not going to leave my retirement on the table. I don't care how much money I make, I'm getting my retirement.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
my end goal.
Mhm. I think that's amazing. Talk to us a little bit more about Timeless Treasures and talk to us more about what you saw in whenever you were traveling in another city when you said you saw the idea and you brought it here. What was that like to have that feeling not go away and then bringing it to fruition and what the business is and how it works? Um, just tell us a little bit about it.
So when I was actually at a place in Oxford, I can't remember the name of it, and I walked in, and that was my first time ever seeing something like that. And so I began to inquire, and I went to the store owner and I said, "Hey, how do you get a booth here?" And they explained to me the process. And so my mind, it I do this, and I do it a lot at night. My mind, I get to rolling. And so I didn't want something specifically just like that. I wanted something to where if you stepped in, it would be something for everybody. So, like if you wanted to bring your family, your husband's not over here just saying, I'm ready to go.
Mhm.
Or the kids are not like tripping out because they're ready to go. I wanted something for everybody. So, Timeless Treasures is a store where you set up vendor booths. And I say we, I'm no longer an owner. I sold my part to my partner last year in August. But starting off, we rented out booth spaces. And what we would do is, say, for instance, you sold candles. We would have 5 people selling candles. So we didn't want the competition, but we wanted something for women. We wanted something for men. We wanted something for kids. We wanted something for everyone, and we wanted it to be a place to where you came in, you felt at home, and you enjoyed just the atmosphere there. So as a customer, but as a vendor, you would rent out a vendor space. We had 5 to 10 feet spaces, or 10 by 10. You come in, you set up your space, and we man it Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6. So we sell your merchandise and you pay a monthly rent.
That's pretty awesome. So basically, giving um, individuals who are, you know, not maybe on that level where they're wholesaling or they have a big business, they may do something out of their home and they want to sell it on a consistent basis and have it available to the public. And you gave them that opportunity, that
Right,
space to be there without all the hassle of trying to, you know, produce more product, but have it in a place where it's accessible, it's seen, it's with others, and it's also affordable, right? When
right,
you're
right,
starting out, you can't get a storefront. You know,
right,
you mentioned candles. There's a lot of variations with that, a lot of product, a lot of storage, and you can't do it all,
right,
right?
right.
So that is so cool. I love that. And Kim, I believe, is still doing it.
Oh yeah,
For yeah,
she is. So
yeah, it's still around.
she's doing it full time. And another thing we looked at too was people like us that worked full time, but still had side hustles and couldn't really get out there. So that helps those people still have a secondary income, and they don't necessarily have to be everywhere.
That is so true. They that's another avenue for doing it all, right? Like I
Yes,
love it. Oh, I
yes,
love it. Okay, you're wearing one of those gorgeous trucker hats.
yes.
So listeners, if you're not watching this on video or social media, you'll have to check us out there. But they are gorgeous, and I know this is something you started doing, and it's like a bar where you create your own custom hat.
Yes,
Tell me a little bit about this.
yes. So my best friend and I went to what do they call it? Where the boutiques go. It's called Magic.
Like a market?
Yes, to
Okay.
market. We went
Okay.
to market together. This is my first time ever going. I actually was going to take my son, who wants to do his own clothing line.
Very cool.
And he's been talking about this for years. I'm just trying to give him that push. And so I took him to market, and we were looking at different clothing lines and things for him to do. So I run across these hats, and if you hadn't noticed, I love fashion. And I'm like, what is this? And so it's like a huge line. And they're just picking out hats. They told me the process. You pick out your hat and you put whatever you want on it and blah, blah, blah. So it's like you make your hat your own, who you are. And I was like, oh man. So my friend and I, it's crazy. She and I have been friends a couple years, but we think so much alike. So we're looking at each other and we're looking around and I'm like, I'm about to do this. She's like, me too. I'm sitting here thinking the same thing. I was like, okay, well, let's do it together. So first, we pitched the idea to my son. I said, this would be great for you. You know, I said, for the guys. And I was like, you could set up in barber shops and just giving him different ideas. And he was like, okay, mama, I'm going to do it. So we get back to the room that night and I was like, okay, are you going to do? He was like, yeah, I'm going to think about it. So the next day, my friend and I, we had started ordering. And I told him, I said, look, I'm not going to wait. So once you get ready to come on board, you can come on board. And so actually, we left market that week. That next week, we had product coming in. That next weekend, we were set up. We were set up the next weekend. He comes to our setup. My son shows up and he was like, y'all were not playing. And I'm like, no, no. And every weekend we've been set up, we have sold out.
What, I mean, we've already touched on this, so pardon the directness. You're not doing it for the money. So like what's behind the drive of like wanting to do something as fun as this when you already have five other things on your plate?
So my husband just asked me this question the other day, and like I told him, as far as the hats for me, it's therapy. I told him, I was like, it's not like another job. I stayed up last night to 12:30 making hats. He comes home off of work and he was like, you're still up. My friend's at my house. We're making orders last night and I was just pumped and had to get up at 5:15 this morning. But I was enjoying it. Like yesterday I had a rough day all day, but when I got home and started making these orders, and I like to freestyle them. So a lot of my clients will say, just freestyle it for me. And I'll send them pictures. They'll say, add, take away this or blah, blah, blah. But that excitement of it. And she and I have that, we both have that drive. So we're making hats together. And she may say, no, add this. And I'm like, add this. And like, it's just fun.
Okay, you've already mentioned that you love fashion and now the hats and you said it's therapy. Are you working on something? I'm just curious. I can't help it. Like, are you one day going to have your own clothing line? Are you going to have something like, I feel like that's your space because if it's therapeutic and
Yeah.
you love it and you're a hustler, like I could see anything you touch to be successful, especially in that. And you're gorgeous and I love your style. Like,
Thank
I
you.
wish I had patience to do that. Or like a stylist. Like, I could totally see, I'm like, can you dress me?
Yes, yes,
Obviously, I
yeah,
need help, but
yeah.
like, I'm curious.
So I'm that will probably be something I would do when I retire. Like I have people now that will ask me to style them, and I do. Um, I have people that wants me to do interior design in their house, and I've done that just for fun, not because I want your money or I'm charging you. A lot of times I just do it because I enjoy doing it. But I can see myself doing that in the future, definitely. That those would be things I would want to do once I retire because they make me feel free, and it's like I said, it's therapy for me.
Well, it's so fitting. And I could see you totally, obviously expanding your real estate business, keeping your entrepreneurial spirit for any opportunities that you see, but then really also focusing on things that you love. It oozes out of you. I did not know that before stepping in this room. And just being here within the, less than half an hour, I'm like, I see it.
Yes.
And so that's where the questions come from because it's really exciting. You light up. You lit up when you started talking about the hats.
Yeah.
Like it's totally different. Like the feel and the atmosphere is totally different. I want to ask about something that you've mentioned twice already during our short conversation here, and that is you have been super willing to partner with people to, even if they're your ideas on other businesses. Talk to me about why that is so. Why are you so easily open to the idea of partnering and what those experiences have been like for you? Because for the most part, with others I have interviewed or spoken to, most of them, 95% of them say run the other way and do not do it. And you've already done it. Now, I know there's good and bad, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with marriage. But you've said that twice on with two different individuals
Yeah.
on two different instances. And just talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, first I'm going to talk about Timeless. I chose Kim because she brought things to the table that I didn't. Not that I couldn't do it, but because she was good at it. Kim and I have been working together for 10 years. So I know her and I know what she's good at. She has a background in banking. She's good with spreadsheets and keeping up with things. Those are things I don't like to do. So that's why I brought her to the table and it worked out. The only reason why, I sold my part of Timeless is because I began to get stretched thin with the real estate and I had to choose something at the time. Since then, I've put other things in motion to kind of help me with that. So that other than that, I would still be, with Timeless. Um, and as far as the hats, it's like Amelia and I thought about it together. Like it's like no need of you doing it and me doing it and we're competition or I don't want that. And why not just do it together and have fun together? We're going to be together anyway, so we might as well have fun together. And it's fun for both of us. And she already has a boutique, so this was just going to be something extra added on to her boutique. This is something she does anyway. And so for me, it's just fun and why not do it together? We get to hang out like last night. We were hanging out, making hats, having fun, and drinking wine.
Yeah. I love that. But what about like the financial piece? On the hats, let's say, right? It's a mutual beneficial partnership too, as well as the financial piece of it, right? Most people would say, well, y'all have known each other, y'all are friends, but how does that work? Because money always changes things and changes relationships if you let it.
Yes, yes.
So I'm just curious, do you have any comments on that as far as, that piece of it when it has to become the actual business side of it? Or is it really just truly fun and y'all have an understanding and separation of those things and where it's a mutual benefit?
We do. It's truly fun and we do have an understanding. And we got that understanding together before we began because some things she already had, like some of the patches she already had. So she already, per se, brought money to the table that I didn't. And so I met her there. But one conversation I did have with her, I will never let that change our friendship. I will walk away before I allow it to change our friendship.
I'm glad you share that because anytime you do anything, you almost have to set the ground rules a little bit up front.
Right.
Up front. You really do. And in this day and age, with so much negativity and noise, it's really, really hard.
Right.
And sometimes a good idea gets overtaken by all the possibilities and greed. That's just the reality of it. And you can love somebody just like with marriage. We go into it, and then in this country, it's over 50% at this point. Because I don't think people have those crucial conversations beforehand. Expectations are set sometimes in individual minds, but they don't come together. And it sounds like with both, you were upfront, the communication was there, and you knew what you were getting. Like the expectation was clear before the dotted line was signed.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
That's beautiful. That's important to share. A lot of conversations that I have had or interviews, that was not the case. And I think that's why we see the statistics that we see. And that's why so many individuals who have gone into partnerships don't come out on the other side with good feelings, right? Sometimes they're still working with that partner that they can't stand all of a sudden because their expectation of them was, something that the partner couldn't deliver because that's not what they thought in their head, right? And so anyway, I appreciate you sharing that because it's not always rainbows and butterflies and fun.
Right.
And it can't always go awry if you allow it to.
And I think it's important also to separate. Some people are not good with separating friendship from business. And it's important to be able to separate that. Um, she and I have had, conversation about something that we didn't have about initially. And when she come to me or I go to her, we know it's business, and we talk about it and hash it out, and we go from there. It's no conflict whatsoever. I understand where she's coming from. She understands where I come from because we're both business minded.
Mhm. I love that. Where do you think your drive to continue achieving and doing comes from? You said you've always had a second job.
My parents, like my mom, she still works to this day. So, my dad, same way. My siblings are the same way. They have several jobs. So I think it comes from our parents. hmm I can remember when I was 15, I got my first job, and my dad was kind of upset about it. He didn't want me working. But I wanted my own money. I wanted, I've always had that drive to want to do it myself. Even though I could have depended on my parents, like even in my teenage years, but I wanted to buy my first car myself. I wanted to say I did it. My parents didn't. Now, mind you, my dad had to sign, but I paid for it. Um, but it was just, that's always been in me to be able to say I did it myself.
How do you think various points in your journey prepared you for where you are today?
I think it's my education background prepared me for my real estate now because I'm known as your educated realtor. So I like to hold my client's hand and walk them through the process. I want them to understand every aspect of the process, whether they're buying or selling the home. And that foundation comes from me being an educator. Like teaching is in me. Just about anything I do, I'm going to try to teach you. And I mean, even my kids, they're like, Mama, we're not at school. And I still do that now to my son that's 27. So it's just a part of me. And so that has been the foundation for my real estate. And I think that's one of the characteristics that set me apart from other agents.
I love it. I think it's awesome and so true. You shared a lot of your story today, and it's all been great. But have there been any challenging points that, you know, that you have had to experience and then maybe you have overcame?
Yes.
You
Gro-
mentioned one with the real estate, the
yes.
license and
Mm.
getting that, but any other moments?
Growing up, um, I didn't value myself, who I was. People would always say I'm pretty, but I didn't feel it. Believe it or not, like people would always think that I was a certain type of person until they got to know me. So I struggled for a long time finding me and appreciating me and who I am. Now, today, I value myself. And that took some time. Like, I probably just started that since I've been in my 40s, literally. Um, People see me and think I'm this way or I'm that way, or I think I'm a certain type of way, but no, I was really down on myself for a long time, and I struggled eternally. So just not being in that place again, knowing who I am, knowing what I bring to the table, valuing who I am.
Why do you think we do that as women?
It's like, I'm gonna use weight for example. I struggle with weight, goes up and down, and you may think, oh, she looks great. But unless I think I look great, I don't really care what you think.
Hmm.
And it's a mindset. It's a mindset.
Where do you think that comes from? Because I know a lot of women like that, including myself. I can relate, and what you're saying speaks to me, and I bet it speaks to every other lady listening. Why do we do this to ourselves?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know if it's not being encouraged enough growing up. Um, and a part of me say that could be why, but another part of me says it may not be because I see students like that does get the support and the encouragement growing up, and they still have those same type issues that I had. So I'm really not sure where, it comes from, where the root is.
Do you have suggestions for what we could do to make that better or get there quicker? I think for me, I'm still in my 30s, but I'm already changing, changing as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And then there becomes that part where you accept yourself. But so I'll always attribute it to, getting a little bit older, getting the wisdom, experience. But why is that? Like, to me, that's what I want to unpack. Like, why does it take us so long to get there, to have those experiences, to finally shed all the negative to where we accept ourselves? Like that for me is like my biggest thing, where if I can help somebody get there quicker than I did, the mission accomplished.
Right, right. And so I feel like, and I think one of your questions is going to hit on this too, but I feel like we need more mentorships at younger ages. We need more women in position that can be mentors and role models for young ladies that are growing up. And I feel like if they see it and you start with them early and you're somebody they look up to, like I've had in the past year, maybe 5, 6 young ladies reach out to me about real estate. Will you help me? Yes, I will. I tell them where to start. I tell them, once you complete your class, you call me back and I'll take it from there. So I just, because if they see you and your role model, then I feel like you could help them more because they look up to you.
That is so true, Cerritos. I commend you for that, because real estate business is pretty tough. You are competing. You're constantly in different lanes, and you do have to set yourself apart and rely on your network. But to have people call and say, "Will you help me?" and you're willing to, that's different too, because a lot of people don't want to give away their secrets. Here's my thing: if you're successful doing you, there's not going to be another you.
Exactly.
And if you can help somebody be a stepping stone to wherever they're supposed to be, they may one day be your client. They may decide, I don't want to do this, or they may connect you to a plethora of clients. Like it's so interesting how that works when you're willing to give. And it's not saying you're going to, completely hold their hand and do everything for them. It's just being that, like you said, the mentor. Because sometimes your circles aren't going to have the information you need, and they see you and they thought enough of you to call you and say, "Hey, will you help me?" And you're just like, "Yeah, I will." Just to be that positive voice, because you don't know what their circumstances are.
Right.
I think so much about people that don't have that circle of support, whether it's through family or other relationships or friends, and they're trying to better themselves. So thank you for that.
Well, the way I look at that also is my mentor helped me, and I feel like she sowed a seed into me. So it's my duty to sow into others.
Always.
And so once I talk to someone about real estate and I give them the process, if they finish the class, that lets me know they're serious. And if they come back, then I take it from there. Once I give you the information, I'm not going to hold your hand to make sure you get it done. But if you get it done and you're serious, then I will take it from there.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so very much. You still have to do the work.
Right.
But just being open to giving advice, and that extra is just so meaningful.
And that's another thing that hopefully I want to do one day is teach real estate. Like, I want to get to a point one day that I'm working like I am now and selling. I want to be a mentor and just teach the class and help people get certified.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I could see you totally doing that. So I'm like, yes, yes, whatever. What else are we doing? Okay, you've talked about your mentor.
She's great.
Let's talk a little bit about that. What has that meant for you in your journey to have a mentor at this stage, and if you have mentors at previous stages on your journey? Let's talk about that too.
So my mentor is Lisa Bradley. Love her to death. What stands out about her is she gives me all the nuggets. She does not keep anything from me. And it's so helpful. Like, I literally will call her if I'm having a problem with like, I'm going to her first. And I want to step back and tell you why I chose a mentor and why I chose her. I wanted someone successful, already in the business, who was having success in the business and didn't, I, who I knew wouldn't be my competition and wouldn't mind helping me because we had a prior relationship through her daughters going to the school. So that was my reasoning. And when I reached out to her, she had already told me to come aboard. And so I told her, I called her up. I said, I'm gonna begin the process. And she was like, okay, yeah, call me anytime. And literally, I call her anytime. And still to this day, she answers because still, I don't know everything. And so I want someone who I can reach out to that, if I'm having a question about something, they'll know the answer or they can help me figure it out.
What role has networking played in your success, whether it's in school, real estate, and your other entrepreneurial ventures?
People knowing you, I mean, now I find myself trying to show up at all type of events when I can, networking events, socializing events. Um, I try to put myself out there because the more people know you, the more people see you, the more people want you. I mean, that's just it. I've had people like I had a client one time, the husband wanted to go with one, I mean the wife wanted to go with one agent. The husband said, "No, I'm going with her because I see her everywhere. Like I want to go with her." And that's literally how I got the client. So I've learned in this business, the more people see you, the more they want you.
Talk to me about how you balance it all. Having a 9 to 5 job, a successful real estate business, other businesses you're a part of. Like how do you manage it all in a way that doesn't drive you crazy?
So the me time and the quality time I'm working on because it's hard for me to not answer my phone if a client is calling. It can be 8 o'clock at night. It can be 10 o'clock at night. It can be Saturday. It can be Sunday. I'm going to answer. When I'm on vacation, I'm not on vacation. So now I'm working on taking a step back for me because sometimes real estate is not easy. And it's things that happen that are behind the scenes that people don't see. And your emotion gets, like, I get emotionally involved. Um, I'm going to use an example. Say you have a closing coming up and you have the seller and the buyer. Something happens on that end, and the seller is needing to close because they already have XYZ set up. Then what do you do if that falls through? And they've already put deposits down and just made all type of arrangements. Well, for me, that emotionally gets to me and I'm like I will stay up trying to figure out like how do I fix this? What do I do? Like and I'm learning I'm gonna have to take a step back and like not let it get to me so much because I've had that happen several times to where it stresses me out. But it's like a part of me, I don't want to let my client down. Um, we know everything's not perfect, but my job is to look out for them. My job is to take care of them. And so, in order for me to sleep at night comfortably, I want to make sure I did everything in my power to do the right thing. And sometimes that's not easy.
No, no, it's not.
Some people are intimidated by me.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because you're beautiful, frankly. I mean, you're strikingly beautiful. You could be a model, like for
Thank you.
reals.
Thank
I
you.
really mean that. Um, it goes both ways because with females, I feel like you're super beautiful or you're pretty, right? I've been in that category too. You're pretty, you get a certain way, people judge you.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're on the other spectrum, if you haven't been blessed with good looks, or you're average or whatever, you also get put in a box.
Right.
So that with that comes different pressures and different things. Because you're right, people don't. They judge you. They think you're a certain way by the way you look, you dress. They judge you, whether or not they think you have money or don't,
Right.
or how you speak. In my case, English is a third language. It's like, she's an outsider. She's not from here. But if you allow that to impact you, it's just differently, and that's what you protect, right?
Right.
But then it wears on you,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, okay, well, here we go again. I'm not this, I'm not that, and I don't, but there's also something beautiful about like busting down doors and be like, I'm doing it anyway. I don't care.
Right. Right.
So you're always battling that, and it's all in our head. Um, what advice would you give to other women who are looking to start a new business or pursue something unique, and they're just not taking that first step?
Find a mentor. Find a mentor in whatever avenue you're trying to go into, and make sure that person's successful in that avenue, and make sure that they're going to give you those nuggets. They're going to share with you, because everybody's not willing to share. And when you're starting something new, you don't need someone holding back. So, and I feel like the mentor will save you time. It will save you time. It will save you mistakes, if you get the right mentor.
What about a woman who's looking to pivot? They want to do something different, or they want their encore career. Would you give them different type of advice than finding a mentor, or something unique or different?
If you want to pivot, I just feel like it needs to be something that you love. Like you're going to give because if you love something, you're going to give your all to it. Like, I know people that get in real estate because they see other people doing it, not because it's something they really want to do. They're on the outside looking in, and at the financial part of it, and that's the wrong reason. So it's got to be something you love, and you're doing it because you want to do it, not because someone else is doing it and you think they're doing good at it.
How do you measure success? What does success mean to you?
I'm successful every day I wake up. Now I'm at a point to where, I don't let that bother me. Real estate, if I get a closing this month, I get one. If I don't, I don't. Like, I don't let that stress me out. Um, Having my full-time job allows me to kind of be flexible. I've been blessed in the real estate, and I'm going to work it as long as I have clients. But, it's a market that goes up and down. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. But either way, I'm fine. And I'm not going to let that stress me out. And so I think for me, because I'm in a position where I don't need the money, it's not as hard on me. I can breathe. I don't have to compete with the next person if I don't get so many closings in 1 month, or I don't make so much money in 1 month. I don't have to have that competition because I have a job, that provides for me. My teaching provides for me. So whether I have the real estate or not, I'm still living.
So what is next for you? Besides retiring and doing more, we know all that, but we've touched on so much today. But like, what is something that you get excited thinking about as you plan for the future?
I want to flip. I want to go into investing and flipping and new construction and building, and that's what I want to do.
Oh my gosh, you want to do it all. If you could tell one thing to your younger self, what advice would you give?
Listen. Listen, stay young as long as you can. um, Listen to your elder. If I had listened, and I'm sure a lot of people would say this, to my parents, I'm telling my kids this now. If you listen and follow my direction, you would have less hiccups and more success sooner. In the same way with me. Like I believe, I'm a firm believer I got here when I was supposed to, but I do feel like I could have been here sooner if I had listened.
That is so good. Cerritos, it has been such a joy and pleasure and honor, really, to be here with you today. Thank you for making time and thank you for sharing your story.
And thank you for having me.